Episode 13 was titled, well, the namesake, Tower of God. I don't know what else they should have called the title, so Tower of God works for me. It has been a journey since April 1st, 2020, that we actually got to see our favorite characters animated in the 10 long years of the series' publication. While there were some ups and downs animation-wise, I believe the series was a good supplement to the Webtoon and should bring in a lot of readers. I think, last I checked, we hit 30 million subscribers to the series on the Webtoon app itself, which is amazing to see. I take it back, I just checked to make sure. It was actually 29.9, but I'm sure it'll get to 30 by probably the end of this week. Anyways, let's find out what content was cut from this episode. I gotta put my disclaimer that of course the goal of this video is to see what was actually cut, what was enhanced with additions, and what sort of potential impacts it has for world building and storytelling of this series. It's obvious that things have to be cut for an adaptation, but this is less of a negative critique and more of what changes and cuts these effects will have. I will actually be doing a tier list video tomorrow, so hopefully, which will be on Thursday, about how each of the episodes rank amongst each other. So check it out. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this sort of stuff. This will most likely be, obviously the last cut content in the series since, well, the anime is over. Now, let's begin. Before we get into the chapters itself, we have about half the episode on a flashback, looking at Rachel's perspective. Initially, after watching this episode, I didn't know if I liked this part, but after some time processing it, I think I enjoyed how much of Rachel we saw. I think we do get a little too much, but I mean, this makes her way more human, which is always good because people can relate to her eventually. I do believe that the studio had Rachel as a key figure since the start of this season, and as she should be, and we see a lot of the anime-only content added, tie-in together in this narrative they tell us in this episode. I feel like this part was this long because maybe they weren't greenlit for a second season yet, so they wanted to put in Rachel's motivations and goals here before the season ended to give a nice conclusion to it. Now, whether we get another season is a topic for somewhere else, but let's focus on the episode itself. Any of the Rachel stuff that was part of the 4 chapters adapted, I'll talk about them all together here first. Just letting you know, since that is a little bit of a change from the usual format for these review videos. Now, we don't get an OP or anything, and we go straight into where we left off at the biggest cliffhanger of the series. Rachel in the anime says an interesting line, "It's finally over," and it cuts to Hidon saying, "Nah, we're just getting started." We continue with the expanding ED of bomb falling from last episode, but this time we see some blood getting dispersed into the water. I wish that we got some of this red effect in the ED itself last episode, because that might have tied in a little better. And this is where we cut to chapter 76 stuff, where we see the rose petals that they use in the anime to symbolize Rachel entering the tower from the first episode. Rachel says in the anime that she believes the tower is calling for her. In the webtoon, she's more sick of living in this dark world and she wants to be reborn. When Rachel sees the light of the door opening, her face is delighted and almost seems pleasantly surprised, which I think fits more because that's really how Rachel actually got in the tower. See, the tower never called for her. She just used Bomb to get into it by being under him when the door opened. But this is a problem in the first episode too, so it's replicated here for continuity. The webtoon actually basically gives us the entire scene again, while at least the anime only gives us pieces that, since, we've already seen this happen in the beginning. The webtoon has Rachel confront Hidon as a fairy because that's how Rachel learned about the tower, from a book that a fairy comes to get the kids in the tower. That's just Hidon doing his job, but it makes sense since Rachel should be enthusiastic since this is what she's always wanted. In the anime, we get a pretty abrupt cut to Hidon and her face saying, "Nah, it's not you," followed by Rachel just breaking down and crying. I thought the line in the webtoon where Rachel looks at the eel says, "Are you telling me to go and die?" It was kind of funny, and had hoped it would be in the anime, but I actually enjoyed the little monologue of Rachel recalling her experience to us. In the webtoon, we have Rachel pushed into a dark cave, somewhere even a high ranker like Yuri couldn't detect. And we get something similar, but Hidon actually uses Shinso to conceal Rachel, which I thought was cool. I know that administrators can control all the Shinso on a floor, but I guess I never made the logical leap that they can also use that same Shinso. This was nice to see. The red beam of animation when people enter the floor is kinda dope, and the cuts of Bomb taking the exam were good. I like the line that Rachel says in the anime, "My savior, Bomb?" Nani? Now we're taking on chapter 77 material. That's all about our best girl, Rachel. Psych, technically Hwarang is our best girl. But anyways, I thought it was cool in the webtoon that we got the panels, the boy went up, what will you do? And then we get that extension to those panels in chapter 77 where Hidon is directly referring to Rachel here. I don't feel the same level of continuation with the blood splattering scene in the anime. Let me know in the comments down below if anyone actually enjoyed this part in the anime more than the webtoon, because I feel like panels specifically being used in the same way but giving more expanded narrative for it is amazing, and I didn't feel that with the anime. I think the special test has a little less meaning than what Hidon asked Rachel in the webtoon. He says, if you do me a favor, I can make you the heroine, not heroine like the drug, a hero, like a female version of a hero, a heroine of this series. This leaves it open-ended, and since we are looking back, we know roughly what Hidon asked of Rachel. The anime makes this mystery disappear by saying Rachel has to kill Bomb to continue. I didn't hate this moment in the anime because it adds a pretty new dynamic. That is that Hidon knew Rachel would fail to kill Bomb, which is why she ends up getting dropped by FUG and has to climb the tower on her own. I liked where Hidon actually calls Rachel out, saying that she wants to be a star in the anime, which was a pretty nice touch. And anime Hidon actually calls it cringe. I'd love to see it. We get the direct gift of Ghost to Rachel as a counter to Yuri giving the Black March to Bomb. I thought this was a pretty cool panel that the anime actually gives us. In the webtoon, we just get a mention of Ghost given by Hidon, as stated by Han Sung-yu. What I am sad about is we lose the line where Han Sung-yu says his teammates, his position, his strength, I'll steal everything from him. I didn't really mind that they removed teaching Rachel how to make instant coffee because that wasn't really relevant. But yeah, we also get a pretty different dynamic in the anime between Hwarang and Rachel. We finally get some explanation to why Hwarang actually attacked Rachel, since even though Rachel was part of FUG, it was used to bait Bomb into going for the rescue, which makes sense. The anime gives us a raw and pretty human Rachel, someone who cares about Bomb and is also as jealous of Bomb for his talents. Kind of like Hoenn, Serena, and Shibusu, they're all jealous of Bomb. Rachel takes it to a little extreme because she has absolutely nothing to do. She takes her own route, that she is someone who's willing to throw that love and affection she has for him to achieve her goal. We get the explanation for why she's spending little points, and that was to up her chances of passing. So the webtoon didn't make it clear as to who actually gave the letter to Ho, but the anime tells us that it was Hwarang, probably under the orders of Han Sung-yu. We get more reasoning behind why Rachel decided to get stabbed, even after finding out from Kun about Ho's plan, and this was for the opportunity that the stabbing created. I thought the anime did a great job explaining everything to us pretty well, and this also makes sense why the studio decided to change Hwarang's team from Team A to Team B so that she can observe Rachel taking on this chance. That's why we get such raw phrases from Rachel when she was being pretty blunt while she was crying, because deep down she wanted Bomb to get away from her. It's interesting that it was only after Bomb mentioned what he desired from the admin's question was when Rachel finally got enough resolve to do that push to kill Bomb. And this was exactly where we got that amazing panel of Rachel just staring, that she's got the killing eyes, like she's ready to do it. Also, I thought it was kind of weird that Rachel couldn't feel the thorn's power surging through her like Bomb could. The anime represented this thorn power surging with the glowing hands. This causes some issues later on, as why would Rachel compete and pursue the thorn fragments if, she can't even use / feel its power? I don't know. It's a shame that Bomb calming down Rachel, who was actually nervous about killing him. This is a pretty cool moment that the anime gives us. Rachel standing up and laughing at the end was good. It was very raw and visceral, but again, it feels like a repeat from when Kun talks to his team in season 2, because that's kind of what this panel reminded me of. So I think this is another instance where I think the season 2 wasn't greenlit when season 1 was being produced, so they drew from that scene in season 2 and put it in season 1. Chapter 75 starts with Rock by the Queen Net Dolphin and ends with Rachel and Hwarang meeting. Now in the webtoon we only have Nare, her knight, and Rock looking for Rachel and Bomb, but at least in the anime we actually got everyone there, which was a cool touch. And we don't get Rachel explaining what happens, which I think was good. She probably just faints. Post-exam meeting was actually handled really well, as Rock and Androsi were absent in the webtoon and were present in the anime. Both of them had emotional moments when Leroro reveals that Bomb's body couldn't be found. it hurt to hear Rock scream because of this anime moment, but at least Rock meeting Bomb again will be even sweeter. And Drosy keeps up Hots' role by getting pissed off at Pericle. Hots had his moment last episode, so when he saved Kun. Great, at least Drosy gets something after getting shafted most of the season. We get the part removed about the Guardians win condition, which I thought was good because it wasn't really necessary to include this because, you know, Bomb technically doesn't die. I thought this was a plot hole every time I reread this part in the webtoon. Chapter 76 starts with Rachel and Hwoarang chatting and ends with Bomb rushing the eel. Chapter 77 starts with Bomb going to the second floor and ends with Hwoarang leaving Rachel to find Bomb. Both of these chapters we covered above in the Rachel section. One thing I did want to mention was that why did the studio decide to change Bomb's name to Yoro in the Japanese version if they didn't want to use the line of Rachel saying that she's scared of the night in chapter 77 for that play of the word? I think is a pretty big missed opportunity there. Chapter 78 starts with the ceremony and ends with Hwoarang waiting for Bomb. Some people thought Kun was being a little aggressive to Rachel in the anime by saying stuff like, "You don't understand," and "I wish I met him before you." And I think the "I wish I met him before you" is a pretty sweet line. But people have to remember that this is after Leruo technically told Kun that Rachel's legs were fine, since they're about to leave for the third floor. So of course he's gonna say some aggressive stuff. The rings Han Sang-yu should have gave was also another missed opportunity because that's how FEG holds Bomb accountable to stay as a Slayer candidate. So I mean, this could be retconned in with a shot of Kun with the ring or something. Leruo pulling up to Han Sang-yu's office, and we get this dark shot of him just hovering over and accusing Han Sang-yu, which was nice in the anime. I'm okay with that the Coke and burger part was taken out because, you know, this moment was pretty serious. In the anime, Leruo actually tells Quant that they're both fired and says, "I will find the truth." And I wish he could have, you know, also said, "I'm going to the 77th floor." It doesn't really reveal that much, but gives enough of a hint about Yuri's team, which is important foreshadowing for season 2. The voice call on the pocket in the anime that said the princesses believe that the boy is dead, but it's not the princesses that's important to convince, it's the actual Jihad family altogether, which is what the webtoon says. I don't know why they changed this. This next part is the most disappointing scene for me. Bomb gets up and says, I'll climb." What? I mean, of course I kid, unless, no, this is exactly what Bomb says. I thought Bomb's reaction was poor. In the webtoon, you can feel the pain and betrayal when Bomb says, "I don't know what this feeling inside my heart is. I should know why." And then this leads to Hwoarang saying that you'll find it up there. In the anime, he has, you know, one shocked look and then gives some classic shonen speech, and it felt terrible to me. I really didn't like it. Yes, you could make the logical following that climbing the tower equals finding Rachel, but Bomb should be heartbroken. He shouldn't be worried about climbing. This was an L for me. Anyways, that's all for the video. For those who have been watching this series of the cut content videos for a while, or if it's your first time, I thank you for enjoying and consuming my content. I know there's a more popular YouTuber doing a cut content series. P.S. Technically, I started this series first on YouTube for Tower of God. But anyways, Any News does have some great videos on the same topic, so I'll leave a link to the channel's series, that playlist, in the description below if you want to take a look at another perspective. If you want to take a look at another perspective of the webtoon versus anime differences. Again, I want to point out, I don't hate the choices the directors made for this episode or series, because it's hard to choose what is taken out and what needs to be added to make the story whole. Just my thoughts. If you get a chance, subscribe to get access to more videos in the future. I plan to have many other series talking about the anime and the webtoon in this hiatus of Tower of God content, since the anime finished and the webtoon is on an indefinite break. My social media can be found by searching Inspirational on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Shout out to my designer. You can find his work on Instagram at @chatinv_photography. Shout out to my editor. You can find him on Twitter at YoungObesity. See you all next time.